Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and in just a moment we're going to be having a discussion with Martin again. He's got some answers to review this week. I've already made the video. This is the intro after the event. There's some very fun hands coming up. I get many of them wrong. I think I give good advice, but then the advice I give would not have been good in the actual fucking hand itself. But I still think it's a good video. I think there's if you're a losing player, a beginner, break-even player or whatever, I think there's plenty of good stuff in there that hopefully will help you or resonate with you. And if you just like listening to an old Nick giving old Nick advice out, then maybe that'll resonate with you too. If you are enjoying the videos with Martin, I know he really appreciates a comment, so please do leave a comment in the video, hit the like, etc. I know Martin's getting a lot from this. I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm quite enjoying the response on YouTube. Yeah, my videos don't get many views, but the videos do receive good responses. But if we could whack it up with a few more likes and a few more comments, that'd be nice, because it's just Martin and I doing something nice together, and it'd be nice if they got a few more views on YouTube, which can be helped by likes and comments and things. So yeah, if you do enjoy the content, but like me, I watch a lot of video content on YouTube that I'll enjoy, and I'm just too fucking lazy to hit the like button. If you are enjoying the content, or even if you're not, but you just want to do something nice, just hit the like button, and yeah, Martin might appreciate it, might not. I definitely will. But without further ado, let's get stuck into today's video with Martin. So here we go, mate. This is the first hand that you want us to look at. Let's take a peep.
Okie dokie. So I think the pre-flop raise is pretty okay, hopefully.
A bit small with two limpers, I think.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you got this guy playing 84-41. He's probably going to be willing to put plenty of chips in. If you just click on the thing I like to look at, if you click on anywhere on his HUD for a moment, and it's not going to be relevant for this hand very much. Just bring the pop-up up. But something I like to look at in general is limp and call raise at the very bottom of the top section.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like to look at that because the higher that number is, the larger I'm likely to make my pre-flop ISOs with a tighter range. So I'm not sure if we've discussed this before or not, or whether it could have been that I was discussing it with somebody else over the weekend. But if that was, say, if someone's got a limp and call of, say, just 30%, but they limp a lot, then I tend to ISO with wider ranges using smaller sizes, because they're just going to fold more often. And when that number's quite high, I won't have as wide a range to ISO with, but when I do ISO, I'll just use a larger sizing. So that's kind of my go-to thing. When I see people limping a lot, or people with just high V-pips, I want to know, and you're limping. You see lots of fish. We used to play on Sky, there'd be tons of players who would just limp and fold to a 4X, limp and fold, and they wouldn't learn the lesson. They just constantly limp and fold. Then there's other people who will limp, and then I'm just seeing a flop, mate. Yeah, I'm just seeing a fucking flop. Doesn't matter what you make it, I'm here for it, and I'm seeing a flop. And being able to have stats so you could differentiate between those people and then size accordingly is really important. This is why we have HUDs, because we want to make sure that we're maximum exploiting these types of players. Because one thing about Game of Yellow is he's losing his money. Unless he leaves the table early, that 211 big blinds is going to be spread around the table, and it's our job to get as many of them before any fucker else does. So if we can exploit him better than somebody else can, which we should be able to do if we're playing fewer tables and they're paying attention. If I saw this guy, he's at 84-41, so he's raising 41%. Fuck knows what the 43% is limping looks like, but it's all going to be terrible. They're just going to be completely terrible hands, and it looks like he doesn't fold that often, albeit it's 2 out of 3. But we can assume, given his pre-flop stats, that the man likes seeing flops. I would have made this as ludicrous as 10x, whatever. Just make it like a 3-bet pot, right? What's my 3-bet? There's 2 limpers. One guy's got an 84 V-pip. What would my smallest 3-bet size be here? And that's what I'm fucking making it. Because you got the other guy too, who's he's got no chips. He's one of these annoying, short stacking fish. Just fucking bump it up. Literally, just bump it up. You're going to make less mistakes post-flop. You're going to be out of position. You want to try and get as lower SPR as you can with your premium hands when you're out of position against these calling station types. If you make it too small, they both call. Then all of a sudden, queens, there's tons and tons of flops, turns, and rivers where queens might be the best
scary.
hand, but it's hard to fucking know they're the best hand still. Whereas if you make it 10x, you get 2 callers. All of a sudden, you're down to an SPR of just 3, or maybe like 3.5, and you flop an overpair. You could just try and get all the money as quickly as possible. And if these guys have any kind of made hand or even a reasonable draw, they'll just accommodate you. Whereas we make it 5x, if they both call, there's going to be like 18 blinds in the pot, and we're still going to have a lot of chips behind, effective with the main stack, and we're going to be out of position. And the board, sometimes going to come down really nice, like deuce, deuce, 4, and you're just going to stack his pocket 6 or whatever. But there's going to be times when the board comes like 4 straights. There's going to be times when an ace and a king flops, and you might still have the best hand, but you've no way of really knowing that, and you just put yourself in some really awkward spots. So let's see what happens. Given we made it 5, but yeah, in future when you've got these high V-pip whoppers, like just don't be afraid of getting out of line with your isolation sizes, but don't be too out of line with the ranges you use, especially when you're going to be out of position post-flop.
Okay. Let me give just calls, as expected.
Oh, yeah, the guy folded. Right, but straight away we're into here where we almost certainly have the best hand.
Well, I think there's a lot of draws out there.
There's all kinds of nasty things that can happen where it either just gives him the best hand or makes it really hard for us to continue value betting, makes it... imagine if like a deuce, a 3, a 6, an 8, a diamond, there's like half the deck, and all of a sudden our hand's virtually dead. In terms of like, we can't really play a big pot anymore, and we might not even have the best hand anymore. So how would you, before we click any buttons, what do you... Because what you did in game might not be what you think when you've got more time. So what do you think you should do now?
I think it's definitely worth c-betting. I think I've still got the best stand a lot of the time, just depending on what the turn comes.
Right. Before we think about c-betting, do we know anything about his post-flop tendencies?
If I were to c-bet 40% of the time, it's not a lot of hands, but half the time. So if he does call, I guess he's got a bit of interest in the hand.
But what if we were to check? Does he do a lot of betting? So we click on flop, float bet. What's his float bet? 0 from 2 so far. And his bet flop percentage overall is 50%. I'm just trying to figure out, do we want to check raise here or do we want to bet? I think I prefer check raise actually.
Okay.
Because if we just bet, he's just going to call a lot, and then, I think I prefer just check raising. I mean, when we're playing against an 84-41, if he's got Queen's beat on 4-5-7, good for him. He's getting all the money. But I'd rather give him chance to, say, bet and not fall. If we just bet here, say, and he's got pocket 9s, for example, or say he's got 8-7 or ace-5 or something like that, if we bet he's just going to call, and then... there's going to be just say we make a standard c-bet of anything between 5 and 7 bigs. There's going to be 23 blinds in the pot. There's still going to be chunks behind, and we're going to have to deal with all kinds of like weird turns where we're just going to be completely lost. But if we get a check raise in, I say we check, he bets, say, I don't know, again, same size we bet, say, anything between, say, 5 and 7 blinds. We can then check raise to 30-something. And then if he calls, then proceed carefully on turns that change the board. If he like 3 bets us, well, fine, we just run it against a guy as loose as this. I'm not massively in love with getting over pairs in on these board textures against a lot of players, but against this guy, we just got to grab your balls and be like, right, fine, this guy might just have ace-7 here and think it's the nuts. The guy might have pocket 8s and be desperately trying to protect it. He might have a draw. So I think against passive players, just bet and bet relatively big. Again, this guy looks like he could be aggro. I much prefer letting him do something aggressive and try to raise. And if he doesn't bet, then fine. We just bet big turn river and just try and get value from whatever he's checking back range. Looks like.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So that if this guy was, say, the 52-4 guy, then I wouldn't necessarily want to check raise because 52-4 indicates he's very passive. So I don't trust him to bet
As much as the aggressive guy.
weak enough hands where check raising will be profitable. Whereas against an 84-41, I fully expect them to bet many hands that are like significantly worse than 2 queens, and then continue versus a raise with a wide enough range still that it's profitable.
No, definitely makes sense. I think I did bet though. If we carry on.
Yep.
Mine.
Now what it is super clean. We
Oh,
don't.
sorry.
No, it's fine. I just saying we want a super clean turn, and I've just seen we don't get a super clean turn.
No.
So what do you think we should do now?
I think they would probably just check.
Yeah, I think checking is reasonable.
I
Like,
think I bet though, to be honest. I think now.
So
it's
okay,
check.
right. So you think you should check now? I agree with you there. So why do you think you didn't come to that decision in game?
I probably just assumed that because he's a complete, very loose and that he could have anything like he said A7 or something like that. Or he showed.
So why do you think you should check now then? So what's the difference between what you think you did in game and what you think now? What we're trying to get to here is like, where's the disconnect between now and what you did?
Just
Like,
looking at it from further and thinking about it more, he could have hit his flushes or straights a lot more.
Yeah, I don't think it's just a matter of like he might have hit his hand, so we're beat. I think it's like also if he hasn't made his hand, then how do I want to put this? If he has made his hand and we bet and we get raised, it fucking stinks because we got an overpair against an absolute whopper. But I think we're just going to get too many folds. We're kind of over-repping our hand now. Even though we're in against a whopper with an overpair, you know, we just have better hands that we can bet with. We have flushes, we have some sets, we don't have straights ourselves. We have like bigger overpairs that don't really matter that much. But it's just not a particularly good spot now against a player like this because he can have like literally every 2 pair in the deck. The guy's playing 84-41. There's no reason why you can't have 9-4 of spades here, as stupid as that sounds. And I'm not trying to get monster under the bed syndrome, but there's no combination of strong hand on this board that he doesn't have. He absolutely has the 8-6s of the world. He has the 6-3 suiteds. He has like all the 2 pairs. He has all the sets. Whereas we don't. And I'm not saying we have to worry too much about that because he's very likely not thinking that way about this board doesn't improve our range very much. But I just think against this type of player, we want to kind of put the brakes on a little bit. We're never folding. If we check and he bets, we're never folding. But I think like just to hopefully getting a streak of check, or maybe just check calling is going to be higher EV for us and continuing betting this streak where he might start folding now. If we check it, for example, he might bet a 5 to quote unquote protect it. Where if we bet, he might fold a 5. So it's like I'm thinking of his like weaker hands that probably aren't strong enough to call a bet, but a lot of players in these games, because I'm very familiar with not this limit, but these games, players don't bluff very often, but what they do is they bet made hands to quote unquote protect them too often, or just because he might just think he's got the best hand. He might have a 7 here, see you check, and just think, oh, I've got the best hand, so I must bet. Not thinking about, yeah, fine, I've got the best hand, but am I ever going to get called by a worse than a 7 here? So that a lot of these players, they will continue being aggressive with hands that we beat that maybe would fold should we bet. He might just start like betting a 4.
Middle pairs or something.
Yeah, he might just start betting a 4 or a 5 here if we check to him. Where he might, if we bet, like, I don't know, even if we only bet like relatively small here, like, I don't know, like half pot or less, he might still fold a 4 or a 5, but he might well bet it. And that might sound, to anyone who watches this who's like more like studied in theory and plays in like way tougher games, they might think I'm talking right out of my ass, but I can guarantee that I'm not because I've seen these types of players a million times. And they will just bet hands they shouldn't bet when they think it's the best hand. I don't know if they're betting them for protection. I don't know if they're turning hands into bluffs. I don't know if they just think me have best hand. Or I don't know if they just think me have best hand, me bet. I don't know what their logic and reasoning is because they're all unique individuals. They all have different reasonings. But I think there's probably with this type of player more chance of them betting with a 4 or a 5 should you check than there is them calling with it. And on top
So
of
would you
that,
pull any bet if you bet?
not any bet. If you went all in, I'd probably just like, right, okay, whatever, we fold. But
Up to the pot size, maybe.
yeah, I think like just checking here is far and away the bet. If we bet here and he calls, say we bet even relatively small, say we bet 12 bigs, there's going to be 54 bigs in on the river, and we're not going to like. There's not a single river in the deck we're going to like. Even one of our queens is dirty because it brings a four liner. A four flush. I just don't think it's a spot we want to like continue betting on. I think it's almost going to be like a pure check on this board against this type of player.
Check call. Okay, so a bet half pot. Going to Shaw Boy, he just calls. So again, I guess he's got something that he likes.
Yeah,
maybe.
but what he likes doesn't necessarily mean it's a good hand, does it?
No.
The guy's playing 80. He plays 84-41, and 70% of the time he doesn't make a pair. So when he does make a pair, it's going to look like the fucking nuts to him.
6.
So
that's quite.
Yeah, that our hand's absolutely worthless now.
Yeah, I'll just check this one, I think.
We have showdown value against a check. Yeah, we can go check and win for certain. But yeah, and there's 0% chance we can pay this off.
So fold it, would you?
Yeah, I just think we have to. It's one of those situations where we had a really good hand pre-flop, and now our hand is pretty much fucking rubbish.
Yeah, so I wasn't too sure if it's the right call to fold on the river, especially against someone like that. But I guess we've got loads of eights and.
Yeah, I don't think the river's the talking point here. I think the talking point is probably the turn. Flop in terms of like against aggressive players with like strong but vulnerable hands. Probably look to pile money in as quickly as possible. But when that turn comes down after we've taken the C-bet line, we just need to slow it down. We just don't want to keep like bloating this pot. You know, we're not folding. If we check any bets, we're not folding. But we want to just try and like get to showdown relatively cheaply. And if it goes check and the river's a brick, then we can just make a decent sized value bet and hope he just pays us off with his like, say the river's I don't know, fucking jack of clubs or something like that. Maybe just find out a 2/3 pot value bet and just hope he looks it up with any of his pairs. I think the turn was the biggest mistake continuing to bet.
Yeah, I did say in my notes there that maybe check turn was wrong.
Yeah, that strikes me as like you've been playing the pot, you're a bit frustrated, and you just want like, I think you'd have been happy if you'd have bet that turn he'd have folded. I think you would have been happy. And that's not enough reason to bet. And it's kind of what we said we're trying to get him to do, or what we think he might do. Just bet his hand because I think you've got the best hand, so I'm going to bet. And then a lot of the time, if you think you've got the best hand and you bet and they fold and you're relieved, it's probably indication that you shouldn't have made the bet. And if you make a bet and they call and you're unhappy that they've called, again, you probably made a bad bet.
Yeah, probably should have checked.
Yeah.
No, so I did write in the notes that I should have checked the turn. So going through it again, I know the right process sort of thing. Okay, ain't too sure what happened there.
Oh, 10-4 suited. Well, I guess we're going to be playing a limped pot here.
I think so. Yep.
Okay.
So the two villains are quite loose, as you can tell.
Yeah. So where's your starting point here? What do you think we should be betting or checking?
Probably checking.
Yeah, I like checking against two passive guys. I mean, we've got reasonable equity, but these guys are just quite often going to give us a chance to just realise that for free. And if one of them does bet, we have the most easy decision ever in just calling. So yeah, I think starting off with a check here and then just not folding is a good starting point.
Yeah, so I did check. I think he just bets one. So I think that's just a normal call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So happy days. So now what do you think you should do? Oh, right, okay.
So I think at the moment I've probably still got the best hand. So I should probably raise.
Well, first of all, the first thing I'd do here is I'd go into my HUD and I'd try and figure. And again, we haven't got a big enough sample. But we're on the turn and just looking at how aggressive this guy generally is on turns. And he's got a bet of, what's that bet percentage? Sorry,
54.
So yeah, the question is, do we want to raise here? Does he have like bet folds? Do we know? Probably not big enough. Ignore me. Probably not a big enough sample. Yeah, I would just raise here now. We don't want to see a 4 spade come off. Very likely he can have hands like 2 pairs, maybe some worse flushes. He can have lots of hands that just aren't going to fold. So yeah, I like the raise.
The ages, I think he's all in. No, he's not. No,
what do I think here? No, I'm just piling it in now. I mean, he can have a worse flush here that does this. He can have 2 pairs that do this. There's not that many better flushes out there. I mean, there's obviously King, Queen, and Jack high flushes, but there's a lot of spades already out there. He doesn't necessarily have to have a flush here. I don't want to call and then like have another flush card come and him just check fold or something. If we're beat, we're beat. Fair enough. Don't go broke in the limped pot's a very old adage, and I typically agree with that in general. But when we turn a flush and the guy has only got 54 bigs left in his stack on the turn, I'm just putting the money in because he can just have worse hands. He can definitely have like 8 high flushes. He can have 7 high flushes, 6 high flushes. He can have 2 pairs. Yeah, fuck it, just put it in. And if he's got a better flush, then tough shit for us. Nothing much to see here. Yeah, that's just whatever. It's unfortunate. Cool.
No, I just wanted to make sure. I wrote in my notes. Should I raise a flop? But I think
no. He's got, even if you do, he's not going anywhere. The man's playing 59-6 and he's got a flush draw. There's no way he's going anywhere. No, so it's one of them hands. It just came down the way it came down, and if we don't lose the maximum, we've probably made a mistake.
Just wanted to make sure that was okay.
Okay, so we've got someone posting here. We have a very, very, very aggro guy. So, okay, what are we thinking here before we click anything?
3-bet?
Yeah, what size?
About 12-ish, 13?
Yeah, I like that.
Or should we be a bit higher?
No, 12 or 13 is completely fine in position.
Oh, we've got 10.
Again, it doesn't matter. You've done the most important thing. You've got the 3-bet in. Size is the least important thing. Yeah, I would have personally gone a little bit bigger, but it doesn't matter. We've done the most important thing, which is we've made the 3-bet.
Interesting. Okay, should I carry on?
Yeah, he's got 38 bigs left.
So I think I was happy to play for stacks anyway now. So
you're happy to play for stacks now?
Yeah, he's only got 30 anyway, so he could have anything.
Yeah, fine. But what if he checks? Are you happy to play for stacks and put money in and call off?
Not ideally, no.
No. I mean, I agree with you. If he bets, we can't fold. But I think if he checks, we don't want to be real in the betting.
I can't remember what happened, to be honest. But yeah, he went all in.
Oh, right.
I think I just called, to be honest.
See, the thing is, I suspect he's got a pair. Because there's just like so few draws on this board, I suspect he's got a pair of some description. It might be a pair as shit as pocket 4s or something nonsense like that. But he's still like a pretty strong favourite. We need like 25% equity. Sorry, we need to be like, if he has got a pair, we've got about 25% equity. And you can see by the replay here, we need 39% equity to call. So we need this guy to be just like randomly freaking out with air. He needs to have some bluffs in here. And I don't know. I don't think this is a mandatory stack off versus jam. He might just be.
I was happy to play for sex pre-flop anyway, so.
Yeah, no, but that's different. Pre-flop, so am I. Because pre-flop, we've probably got like more than 50% equity against him, against his entire range. But we're not at pre-flop anymore. Our hand isn't as good as it was pre-flop because now we haven't improved and he's just smashed 38 big blinds into us. So again, it's one of those situations where pre-flop, yeah, we probably had the best hand, we might still have the best hand now, but given he's donked out for pot, there's worlds where we don't have the best hand. There's worlds where he's opened, he's called a 3-bet, he's got pocket sixes, he's got ace 5, he's got fucking 4-3 suited or whatever, and now he's hit a flop and he's just like, yeah, I'm all in then because I've made a pair. So I actually think, as annoying as this is, it's just a fold.
Probably fold.
I don't think this call makes money because we need 39% equity to call here, and I don't think we've got that. We're probably not far off because we've got like 25% equity against any pairs where both our draws are where both our overcards are live. So we've got like 25% against that. We've probably got an extra like 5 or 6% with our back doors. So we've probably got close to 30% equity here. But 30% isn't 39%, is it?
No, so I was thinking
we're in a high rake environment. I think this call is losing money. Probably not losing a lot of money, but I think it's losing money.
Yeah, the numbers it will be. Yeah, I'll just call.
Wow. So fair play to you on that one. I mean, that is just...
No, I wasn't too sure if I had a read on it before.
Pure nonsense.
Previous hand that he always goes all in the flop.
Well, if you had that read, that makes it very, very different.
So I ain't too sure if I do, so I can't say it's definite.
Right, okay. Well, this is why paying attention is really important, why using your HUD's really important. If we click on his HUD, what's his donk bet percentage, for example? On the flop?
Nothing. 0.
0 from how many?
7.
And all of a sudden he's done that, which is weird. So if I had the donk bet of 0 from 7, there's 0% chance I would have called that bet.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't look at the HUD in game.
Turn it off then. Why? I'm not saying turn it off, but if you're not using it, what's the fucking point in it?
Yeah, no, I only look at this bit here, the like on the table. But if I go I don't delve into the.
No, you absolutely have to because it would have lost you this hand because you'd have seen flop donk not from 7, and you would have presumed he had a better hand than ace high, and you would have folded, so you would have lost his hand. But overall, it's
definitely worth it.
Yeah, there's literally
no, definitely will from now on.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a dickhead, but there's literally no point having a HUD if all you're going to look at is people's VPFR. You can guesstimate that without fucking having a HUD.
Yeah.
You just got to use it. You've got a very powerful tool there, and you need to know what people's post-up tendencies are because that's how we exploit people, rather than just guessing.
Going forward.
Yeah, so I would have got owned in that hand because I absolutely would have lost, But yeah, so after this hand, would you have taken a note?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. Because that's like this.
I've been taking a lot more notes as well. On
Brilliant.
The actual
stuff like that's really important. Because if you see him doing that once, you could just completely change how you play against him. Yeah, you have the note that my note would be something stupid, like something simple like call 3-bet out of position, ace rag, donk air flop, donk jam air flop. And that's all you need, because now you know his donk jams are very likely to be his way of saying, yeah, please fuck off, mate. So yeah, it's a nice hand to review because it's kind of like showed us that, what has it showed us? It showed us how good the fucking games are for a start.
Yeah.
But it's also shown us that it doesn't matter. Move along.
Okay.
Totally lost my train of thought.
So I ain't too sure if I did have a read on him previously, so that's probably why I did call that one.
Yeah, if you do have reads, you need to put them in your notes. Because if you just said, I had a read, I'm not sure where you would have got the read from, given that he's donked 0 from 7.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, true.
Right, let's have a look at this one.
Okay.
These tables are fucking magnificent, aren't they?
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely. It's almost impossible to lose long term. I
think I'll just call here.
Why?
I don't know.
Our hand is really bad, and we're going to be out of position, multi-way in a high rake environment. Just get rid of it, move along.
Okay. So now I've checked. I honestly don't know why. I just think.
Well, we checked because we've made a bad defend, and we've got a weak top pair, and we're not the pre-flop aggressor. So checking is just the absolute standard thing to do.
Okay.
Check through.
I think I'll bet now because
Yeah,
So
I think I would bet now. What size?
Yeah.
What size? Not that's before you click the button. What size do you think you should use here?
Quite high. Maybe just 6 big blinds.
Why that big?
Hopefully, just try and get value from like 10x or something like that. Or 2 spades, probably.
Yeah, it's reasonable. But do you think if you're targeting 10x, do you think 10x calls a large bet?
Not standard, no. But I don't know these players because they're quite.
Now, I think probably, and I agree, we should probably bet here, but we're going to be targeting, like, we can't target an ace, like a worse ace, because they probably don't exist very often. So we're trying to get calls from a 10x, like you said. Flush draws are calling any size, probably. We're trying to get value from Queen Jack, King Queen, all those types of things. I would just go small. I'd go like 3 bigs here.
Okay.
Just like I think the larger we bet, the stronger range we force them to have to call us, and we don't necessarily want them to have a super strong range here because although we've got trips like 3 of a kind of strong hand, it's relative to the hands that might call a large bet. It's not that strong.
No, it's like Queen of Spades comes or something.
Yeah,
like
I just put a little milker in here. It's like 3 bigs.
Oh,
I like that though. I'm a fan of that.
But
Called in 2 spots. Oh, now the question is, do we just make a large value bet or do we try and check raise?
I think because they just check the flop and just call the turn, I think I'll bet quite big. So I'm not too sure they were aggressive enough to bet.
Well, this is why we have a look at our HUD, don't we, a little bit, and we just we go into it and we just see like what's their river, like how aggressive are they on rivers?
That's 25%.
Yeah, so we're not going to
2 out of 8.
So we're not going to try and induce that guy.
And this one's 2 out of 7.
Yeah, we'll just bet then because we're not going to induce against people who have like relatively low betting frequencies, and that would be the decider for me. If one of those players, and that'd be it, like ignoring the fact the sample size is small. If we had a better sample, and both of those players had like bet rivers of say 40% or higher, I would then check and hope one of them bet. If they're both like sub 30, then yeah, there's no way I'm trusting them to bet. I'm just going to make a bet myself. And then the question now is just like, what size? Like, what are we targeting? I mean, all of a sudden we could target better races, we could target flushes. So what size do you think you should go now?
I think I went quite big, like you said, trying to target flushes. Hopefully someone's hit a flush.
I think we should definitely go big because when we bet this river multi-way after like the flop check through, etc., we're basically saying we've got a very good hand. We're saying we've got flushes or better when we bet this river because we like bet our ace x too, but the problem is because we didn't 3-bet pre, we don't have any good ace x. So because we don't have any good ace x in our range, when we bet this river, we're saying, look, we've got 4s full, we've got maybe 10s full, we've got maybe ace 10, we've definitely got flushes. So all our hands that want to bet this river are all really good hands. So we should just bet big, yeah. I wouldn't hate you going like 80% pot through to maybe even like over bet.
Should I probably check that now? No, I said this. It's pot bet.
No, I like it.
Fold. And he shoves, I think.
Nope, no, he hasn't. Right now, this is interesting because he hasn't shoved. But we literally lose to one hand,
The
which
ace 10.
is ace 10. So we just all in. And if he's got the ace 10, good for him. Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely. I mean, that is just reckless in the extreme from our friend there. Happy days.
So was it okay that end?
No, because pre-flop was atrocious. But after that, it was fucking really good. But pre-flop is just not... I mean, if you're going around defending ace 7 off multi-way out of position in a high-rake environment...
in the long term.
There's no way that's profitable pre. No way. And you could show me a range chart that says, yeah, it's a defend. No, it's just not. And I doubt it is a defend. I think you made a really big, well, not a really big mistake, but you made a biggish mistake pre. But then, fortunately, you were able to overcome that by having someone massively overplay their hand. But yeah, everything else, like once you get to post flop, I'm on board with everything you did, but I think pre-flops, it's losing money pre-flop.
Okay. So again, pretty loose table.
Yeah, I like
apart
it.
from this geezer. I think I was raised it. Is that too loose, you think? Or
No, not even close. Not even close. Bog standard open.
you raised it?
Right, this happens a lot in these games, doesn't it? We just never fall to these, and we 4-bet relatively wide, and I mean, I wouldn't 4-bet this hand, but I would 4-bet because these are nonsense. These min 3 bets, now and again you find players that only do it with aces, but there's loads and loads of players in this pool who will just do this with a ridiculously wide range. So I would 4-bet like pocket 8s here and get it in. I would 4-bet ace jack and things like that. I'd 4-bet probably stuff like king queen suited, king jack suited, all the really good stuff. I'm just 4-betting it, and then whatever. If he jams, it's 30 odd bigs. Whoops, time to get there. But with this hand, I would just call.
Okay. Small blind called as well.
And now we're just not folding, I guess.
No, I'm too sure what I'd do, to be honest. A bit quite big. Do you think I should check there?
No, we shouldn't check, but I'm not sure about the big bet because we're probably going to be playing this pot against Zizel, who's only got 33 bigs. And I would probably just bet smaller because we're going to be able to go bet and get all the money should we want to. But I also want to encourage him to maybe do something stupid and raise a worse hand against a small bet, just desperately try to win the pot. I think when we bet 9 here, it looks strong, and even the biggest moron will be like, oh, that looks pretty strong. When if we just bet
quite small.
4 or 5 big blinds, if Ninja raises, we can probably just get out the fucking way. And if Zizel raises, great, we just put the rest in. I don't think we need to go this size. We're not looking to play an all-in pot with Ninja. As much as we've got top pair shitty kicker. We're not looking to put another 62 bigs in against Ninja, but I'm happy to play for Zizel stack. So we can just bet small here, respond appropriately if Ninja responds with aggression, and then just never fold versus Zizel. So I just don't think we need to use this size.
I think the reason I went this side is to probably try and get him out of the way and just play against him.
Right, but what are you trying to get at? What are you trying to make him fold?
Jack X, something like that.
Well, why try to make him fold a jack? We're fucking destroying a jack.
True. So I don't know. I weren't too sure what to do if he did like.
Yeah, so you bet big here, so you have like more confidence in your fold should he raise, where you could just bet small and have equal confidence in the fold because some fish will overreact versus small bets and like overplay their hands. Well, we've no reason to think that about this guy yet. We've got one hand on him, so my default would just be right. Well, I'm not looking to play for Ninja stack, but I am looking to play for Zizel stack. So therefore, I can bet a size that allows me to comfortably still get all in against Zizel, whilst allowing myself to make a pretty snug fold should Ninja not fuck off. So yeah, I just think your bet's too big.
Okay. There he calls as well.
Yeah, now we're in a tricky spot.
So, check.
Right, so now what do you think we should do?
Probably a bet again for value.
I don't know. I think it's starting to get very thin multi-way. You're starting to get very.
Check it,
I understand that you're like, right, I don't want to see a draw complete in river, but we got top pair mediocre kicker, and there's already 40 blinds in the pot. But I think it's a pretty big overplay to continue betting here. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to protect your hand. You think, like we talked about earlier, you sat there, you're thinking, I've got the best hand, I need to protect it. That's not enough reason to bet. I think this is too thin. I think we just check back, and then if a bad card comes off and there's someone bets, we probably just throw our hand away. We're going to be if we bet again here, we're going to be putting too much money in with a pretty mediocre holding.
Yeah,
at least we go small. At least we allow them to come along with worse still.
Because 10. So I'm too sure now what to think.
Well, let's see what he does first. Yeah,
Check.
now we have to be all in. we've just gone ahead of King, Queen, and
Yeah, it's a bit.
Jack 5 suited and whatever other nonsense he's got. King 8, we've gone ahead of everything now, except his like extreme traps. I think if he's got a hand like Ace Queen or Queen 9, at some percentage he donks the river. So whilst he can have those hands, when he checks, whatever, if you've got one of them, good for you. I think we get. I'm not sure why you chose not to put him all in.
No, mate, to be honest.
I think like if he's calling 21, he was calling the rest.
So I think so wide on that.
There's worlds where we bet all in here, he calls and we lose. But there's more worlds where we bet all in here, he calls and we win. I think like we basically, do we win more than half the time when our all in gets called? Yes, we do. So therefore, we have a profitable all in. Yeah, that's just unlucky. But again, I think the mistake there was probably betting the turn. Yeah, well, I think we made a few. I think like our flop size is too big because again, like, we're not lucky to play a 62 big blind pot with this particular player. Our entire focus that hand should be get the max from Zizelle and not look to play a big pot. I mean, we've ended up fair enough. We've rivered 2 pairs, but we played almost 100 big blind pot with a hand that we could have easily gone 4 big blinds flop, call, check, turn. He bets river. We either call or raise, and I don't think we sacrifice our chances of getting value, but we do make sure we don't own ourselves like the way we have here a little bit.
And if he was to bet,
sorry, mate, go on.
So if he was to bet on the turn himself, yeah, would you have folded? Or?
It would depend on his size, but yeah, I'd be leaning more towards fold than it would be anything else.
Okay.
Because it's just an unusual line, in a multi-way pot, check, call, flop, donk, turn. It's very often value, and we don't beat a lot of value.
Okay.
In that self. And again, people watching this will be like, fucking hell, you're giving out some pretty fucking nitty advice here. But we're playing against loads and loads of loose passive players, and when loose passive players just all of a sudden start betting, unless our HUD tells us that's their overall style to be loose passive pre and then 2 aggressive post, and those guys exist, you'll have seen them. There's loads of players in these pools who are like super loose passive pre, then super aggro post. But until you've got a read that that's their style, just overfold when passive players start being aggressive.
No, definitely. I think.
I will say one thing: your table selection's fucking A1.
So I do change quite a lot once it gets a bit tighter.
Yeah, you absolutely should. You absolutely should as well. There's a gentleman I play with. I'm not going to name him, but he's recently converted to cash, and he plays in the same pool as I do. And he game selects even better than me. He doesn't give a fuck. He's like, right, I'm running. This table's gone shit. And he quits tables quicker than me. And by fuck, I quit them. I quit them quickly. He's even better than me. It's absolutely the right approach. There's
once it gets a bit tighter, I'll definitely sit out and.
There's too many good tables available where we're playing to ever waste our time on a bad table.
No. Sorry. I think that's pretty standard.
Yeah, I also think when we're at a table like this one, we could just go 3x, yeah, whatever. I think like in these pools, 3x is a better default open than 2.5, and then only go to 2.5 if you've got particularly active players behind, like aggressive pre-flop players behind. So I would have 3x as my default, and then go down to 2.5x if you've got a couple of players in position on you who are more active, but that's typically not going to be. I mean, look at all the hands we've looked at so far. We haven't had a single table where we look at someone behind us who looks like an active reg. So unless you've got active regs behind, just make 3x your standard.
No problem. I think I'll check this one.
Why?
Because I'm trying to induce a bluff on a turn from him.
Nah, don't do that. Just bet your hand for value, mate. The flush draws we can get called by, pocket pairs we can get called by, worse aces we can get called by, 8x. Just bet your hand for value. You don't have to bet big. Just bet anything. 1 big blind, 2 big blinds, 3 big blinds. You don't have to go huge. Just bet. Start building the pot. Don't start.
So I didn't want to scare him off of anything. Just hope it's on.
No, that's shit logic. with all due respect. Don't if he's got nothing, fine. He's got nothing. We just don't win any more money. But unless you've got a read, and we can't have a read because we've got 5 hands on it. Unless you've got a read that people, a particular villain, like gets way out of line with his probe betting, just fucking put money in the pot yourself.
Okay. Check again.
Yeah, so we haven't induced anything, have we? That just
No,
start betting. And excuse me, what is this? Oh,
bit of a shock, really, don't you
fuck. Yeah, well, they're not folding, am I? So I'm calling. Not loving it, but we just don't make big faults to these people. Fine, 5-6 has got there, and we've let it get there.
So definitely bet the flop.
Yeah, just build a pot. We've flopped a really good hand against someone who's clearly very bad at poker. Start building the fucking pot. And there's no way I'm folding here. I'm not loving it because we only beat bluffs. But, could this guy have ace-6 and take this line? Maybe ace-5 take this line. I'm really not in love with it. But years and years ago, I was getting help from someone who was very good in terms of like his time. And he had a rule of like no hero folds versus morons. And even though he gave me that advice 12, 15 years ago, you're playing a hand against a moron here, so that rule still stands. No hero folds versus morons. It's uncomfortable. Call, move along.
Oh, I thought I folded. I think cool.
Yeah, and this is like what we talked about earlier, where these players will just fucking bet random nonsense. I mean, who knows what this is? Is it a value bet? Is it there's no logic behind it, and this is why we don't fold to these people when they do stupid things, because like there's quite a lot of people who have quite aggressive stats post flop, and I learned I found out the hard way that they're aggressive post flop, but they're not bluffing very often. They're just doing shit like this. So like I was calling with bluff catchers and then losing to third pair, thinking that they're polarized and they're either like nutted or air. And because they're aggressive, they're going to have a lot of air. And it turns out they don't have a lot of air. They just have absolute random nonsense like this, which is why you just can't make these folds. You just have to. That's a really good example of a point that I'm keen to make in these pools. You'll see a lot of these players who play like 55-5, but then every street post flop, their aggression will be like in the high 40s or 50s. And you think, oh, these guys are bluffing. They're not. They're just making a hand, and they're betting hands that shouldn't bet. They're just betting second pair 3 streets. They're betting bottom pair 3 streets. They're betting weak top pair 3 streets. Basically, just get to a flop, improve their hand a little bit, and then they'll just bet hands that have no business betting. Yeah, they'll just be aggressive with hands that don't need to be aggressive, but they look like they're being really bluffy. Now you don't want to you have a strategy of like bluff catching against them. You just cannot beat top pair. Or can I beat second pair? If you can beat top pair or second pair, then just don't fold very often.
No, I tagged that one, so I went to show about the flop check.
No, well, I mean, as it happens, for the second time this video, I've said you should do something on the flop, and it's turned out that had you done it, it would have cost you money. Like I told you to fold the ace queen, and you won 50 bigs. Now I've told you to bet this flop, and it would have cost you money. It doesn't mean the advice is bad. It just means...
No, in the long run, it's definitely...
Yeah, it just means that we're in incredibly fucking good games.
So you got to answer that. Is that your phone?
Yeah, but it's an 020 number, and I don't know who it is, so it's getting royally fucked off. I don't answer unknown numbers.
No, not me. I did play some Poker Stars as well this week. I think I tagged a couple of hands there.
Look at the difference in game quality.
Yeah, I know.
Stop doing this Poker Stars shit. I mean, look at it. It's like fucking chalk and cheese. You've gone from playing in an absolute fucking circus to, oh, look, the loosest player at the table's got a 35 VPIP, and he's not even that easy to play against because it looks like he's an aggro motherfucker. Yeah, stop doing this. You're just wasting
I think
you're literally wasting your time. Okay, so we just call and see a flop. Oh, very nice. Right. First of all, just take it back a second. why have we raised here?
I don't know. I should have called it just to.
Yeah, we if we bet small, we can, it's, and this is more like where we have to try and be more theoretically correct if we're going to sometimes play in these games because we're playing against better players. If people like bet small in 3-bet pots, we need to be finding some raises because this is what theory wants to do. When someone bet, this is like considered a relatively big bet in a 3-bet pot. There's no reason to raise versus big bets in 3-bet pots. We just probably just play a call only strategy versus big bets. I mean, yeah, fine. If he's got an over, we're just going to felt an overpair here, and that's going to be that good for us. But we'd have felt an overpair if we'd just called 2. Like theoretically, raising this flop's quite a big mistake, I would imagine.
Okay.
Because like your range for doing it is just going to be on that board. It's just going to. If you had jacks there, for example, you probably aren't going to raise. If you had tens, you probably aren't going to raise. If you had a flush draw, even though that's probably one of the hands you wouldn't mind raising to like put pressure on his like. Just say we had a hand like 8-7 of clubs, we wouldn't mind raising that to try and put pressure on his ace highs that are just like auto c betting. But you probably wouldn't raise a flush draw because you wouldn't want to reopen the betting. So when you do raise there, it's pretty obvious that you just have a good hand most of the time. And yeah, fine. When they've got the overpay, you're going to stack them by raising, but you're going to stack them by not raising too. Don't raise versus big bets in position in 3-bet pots.
No, I think that's why I tagged his hand. So I went too short to do the flop.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, no one's done anything wrong there. I mean, you've done something wrong in theory, but in practice, whatever, he can't fold his hand. He just needs to get it in as well. So that's the sort of hand. That's the sort of hand that makes me not like playing on those sites because look at all the pots we played on 365 when the money's gone in and our opponents have had shit hands and there the money's gone in. We've had to flop a set to crack an overpair. The games just aren't good, and this goes to anyone watching this video who's got options to play on softer sites, but they're playing games where like the biggest fish at the tables or the highest VPIP at the tables, typically like 30-odd%. Stop playing those games. Go and find softer games somewhere because you ain't winning in them long term. If you are winning, you ain't winning much. You can be a relatively solid, tight player and not win, and then you can go and play in slightly softer games, like, for example, in the UK, fuck off onto Sky. And if you're a 4 big blind 100 winner at 10-0 on PokerStars, you're going to be a 10 big blind winner at 20-0 on Sky. So you just go, double the stakes you're playing on a softer site, and double your win rate.
Definitely, because I did notice PokerStars is definitely a lot tougher.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that PokerStars graph looks nice there over a small sample, but there's no way you're going to, if you're playing this,
maintain it. If
you're playing the same stakes on PokerStars as you're playing on the other site, but you choose to play on PokerStars, you're just choosing to have a lower hourly. That's all. You're just frankly choosing to do that, and that doesn't make any sense.
So again, this one's a lot tougher than the other side.
Yep, this all looks normal so far. Happy days.
Okay, I think I'll check because I think I'm Ned and just waiting for a C-bet from him.
Yep. Yep. I'll see him. Perfectly normal.
I don't know why I take that one.
No, that seems perfectly normal to me. I have no comment.
I ain't too sure why I take that one. Two callers, flush draw. Bet one, I think that's cool. So I think I'm to the Ed a lot of the time. I know there's loads of full houses out there, but
he's betting to 2 people, hasn't he? That's my issue here.
And he's pretty tightish so far.
Yeah, I think I like fold here.
That's cool.
Wow. Fair enough. What a fucking moron I am. I mean, I've no idea what. I mean, that ace 10's just pull that back up a second because that's just trying to figure out like the ace 10. What I've no idea what he's fucking doing on the river. I mean, he's playing 7. I mean, yeah, it's a small sample. I mean, we should never win this pot when it goes bet, river, call, and then button over calls. We should just never win this fucking pot. Yeah, I don't understand that hand really. I would have genuinely just folded the river because I just think, well, it's very unlikely that the guy in the big blind is betting without a full house here. That turn check through, river flop checks through, river he leads, so he can have a 4 or a 7 maybe, 7. And then the river double pair to 7. Yeah, fine. Again, for the third time this video, I've advised doing something that would have cost you money. But again,
that's why I tagged it though, because I wasn't too sure if to what play or not. I think over the long term,
as a rule, we don't want to be calling with flushes, even nut flushes on double paired boards, because players. I mean, yeah, fine. We found someone here who has just found a bluff out of absolutely nowhere, but this is going to be a full house. This is the way these games play. They're just going to be a full house, way more than it's going to be anything else. And we're not closing the action. As it happens here, we managed to get, I mean, the King-Queen overcaller, I don't know, that whole hand's just like, for my old Nick brain, that whole hand's messed up. But yeah.
No, I think that's why I tagged it, because I wasn't too sure it's the right corner in the river.
But look at the state of the tables. That's the problem I've got here. Just fine, you know, we've shown hands that we've won, but the game just aren't as good. I mean, yeah, I like it there. You've got a random empty seat that's somehow got a 78 VPIP, which I don't know how that works, but and you've got a 33-5. So that table actually doesn't look too bad. But yeah, there's no reason to be playing us. If you're a UK player, there's better options than Stars, GG, Party. There's better. Just get out there, do a bit of research, and just get on the better options.
Yeah, so I think I might try Sky this week. I might withdraw from PokerStars and try and Sky.
But why would you try Sky when you just got the Ultimate Circus site that we don't name?
So I thought Sky was the same.
No, Sky is not. The problem with Sky, and it's soft. Do not get me wrong. Is that at 10 and L the rate's just as high as where you play. The rate 7.5% at Sky 10 and L, which I'm presuming is where you're going to be playing either 4 and L or 10 and L, and the traffic's just nowhere near as good as where you are. And you don't have tracking software. And while we're doing this coaching thing, it's really nice to have this option. I'm not saying like Sky's it's not a bad place at all. But for what we're trying to achieve at the minute, which is help you improve quickly, and get some volume in, without question, like where you're playing at now. Those games run 24/7. Sky doesn't. Those games run 24/7. They're as soft or softer than Sky, and you also get to import audio hands into a database. I'm not trying to be like really fucking bossy here, but
no.
I think you playing anywhere other than the site you're currently playing on right now would be a mistake.
No, so you reckon it's worth just loading up on there and...
Yeah, if you've got money on PokerStars, just take it off and spend it, you know? Just take it off. And if you've got enough bankroll on the iPoker skin, just take your money off PokerStars and just enjoy spending it on something. Or just put it aside for, you know, if for some reason things go wrong on this site, which they shouldn't, but if you have a downswing, just put it to one side so you can reload. But yeah, I think like there's no reason to mix sites when you've got a playground like the one you've got. Just playing it, print the money, move up. Your goal should be just like moving up as quickly as possible. You know, there's no reason why you can't be, if you put the volume in and you put the hours in, why you can't move. Because I think you're playing 5 and L, I think is what you're playing, isn't it? Or 10 and L on
5 and L.
Yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't like be quite aggressive with your bankroll management and just go move up as quickly as possible. You know, I would be like, if I've got 5 and L, and I don't want to know your finances, don't tell me. But if I've got 100 on there now playing 5 and L, the minute I hit 200 and playing 10 and L, the minute I hit 400 and playing 20 and L, because the game quality does get a bit. There's more regs the further up you get, but you can still get comfortably 6 soft tables most any time of the day. So your goal shouldn't be moving around sites, piss around. It should be like, get this bankroll where we can actually get to a limit where we can make a reasonable side hustle. Because I know yourself at the minute, because of your health issues, you don't have much of an income. But, you know,
No, not yet, no.
I'm hopefully going to help you get to a point where you can easily clear €500 a month,
Okay.
without fucking having to be a sicko. I'm not a sicko crusher. I'm a fucking old school, solid bum hunting nit, and that's basically what I'm hoping to help you become. Because in the short term, given your current situation, that's going to be the best option for you in terms of helping you make some money, helping you like cushion your way until you get the healthcare that you're looking for, and ensure like there's no doubt in my mind I can easily help you become the sort of player who's pulling, even if you stopped at 10-0 because you didn't want to play higher, you could still pull 300 to 400 euros a month out of that game if you had the right work ethic. And that's my goal, is to get you where you're like making a decent bit of money from like really soft games for really low exposure, because I'm also aware that because of your situation, you probably don't have a lot of money for reloads. So we need to be in low variance, high win rate, high EV situations. And that's what we're giving you. And moving that, wasting time on PokerStars or moving to Sky, which you would make that same money on Sky, but it would make it harder for you and I to study together, because it just wouldn't work.
Like
Just stick in the one place and focus on building your bankroll so you can move up to at least 10-0. And if we continue doing well at 10-0, 20-0 is not that far away. That would be my, if I was like your dad, your boss, your uncle, whatever it is, I'd be like, just keep doing this, mate. It'll get a bit boring from time to time. And I get it, we all want to freshen things up sometimes, you know. We want to, you know, you get sick of seeing the same fucking software, the same player names at the table. If you feel like that for a couple of days, just don't fucking play.
Just take a break.
Yeah, one of my biggest leaks is like, fucking hell, I can't be bothered with this site again today or whatever. I get sick of looking at the same thing. So I'll do something just to freshen it up. And I'll do something poker related, and I shouldn't, because I'll end up going and playing on party poker, or I'll end up going and playing fucking 5-card PLO or something stupid. And
I did a video yesterday playing PLO.
Yeah, well, I don't care about that because that's not my fucking money. So I literally don't give a shit about that. But like when I'm doing it off my own money, I'm either losing money or just wasting my time. And I should do things differently. I should freshen up. I've nicked, well, not nicked, but my nephew has got an old Nintendo something, a fucking Nintendo Switch or something they're called. So I've nicked that off him so I can play on that when I don't want to play poker. Because I do have days sometimes where it's like I can't be bothered to play. But I've got nothing else to do because I'm a boring old man. So I end up playing anyway, and I'm just playing games that aren't good for me. So if there's a day where you say, I can't be bothered today, just don't play. Don't think you can freshen it up by playing somewhere else. All you do
I think that's what I do, because say, like you said, at the moment, due to health, I can't go out much at the moment. So it's just a case of finding something to do, which I enjoy, which is poker.
Yeah.
But I don't want to play it if I'm not in the
well, if you're not in the mood, don't play it. And when you're in the mood, grind the fuck out of it. Because the situation you're in, there's no reason why you can't, you know, literally be a full-time player. Now, I know it sounds stupid saying full-time player at 5-0, but that's how you get to be a full-time player at 20-0. You know, just put your fucking hours in. You're doing your apprenticeship, do it, and then come out time served in 2 months' time, playing a game where previously you broke even or lost that you've now turned into a €5,000 a year fucking income, and that's there. It's 100% possible.
That's what I
just put the fucking time in, and like a lot of these sessions, you come in and we're saying like, why did you do that? And you're saying, I don't know. Which is better than lying to me, but we need to have less I don't knows and more I did it for this reason, and then we can talk through the logic of your reasoning. Rather than like, at the minute, I'm just hoping to all the things you say I don't know to. I'm hoping to fill those gaps with what I think is a good thing to think about. Not everyone will agree with that, but I'm the best you've got at the minute. It's a tough shit. You're stuck with it. So hopefully, as time goes on, we'll get less I don't know and more. Well, I did it for this reason, but I'm not sure about the reasoning, and we can have like discussions back and forth on your reasoning for doing things rather than I don't know. I mean, it'll be I don't know for as long as it's I don't know, but hopefully as time goes on, there'll be less I don't know and more. I did it for this.
Reasons why,
this might be a shit reason, but at least I had a reason for doing it.
No, so once I start playing, once I play this week, I'll start making more notes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then hopefully next week, if you're available, then I can have more reasons why then.
Yeah,
So
I will be available. We might have to change our time of doing it. This is a conversation that doesn't need to be on video, but I can't be asked pausing. My availability changes a bit next week because it's the summer holidays from college and the young
the
man I
kids break.
support. So yeah, I'll either be working with him, like it's starting at 10, finishing at 2, or starting at 11, finishing at 3, around those hours. So we might have to do different times of the day, but yeah, I'll 100% have time still.
So I'm honestly 3 months of time anyway.
Yeah. We'll
whatever.
easily better fit it in. But what I'd like you to do this week is just try and play as much volume as you can without it affecting your motivation.
Okay.
Just try and because you're in games where you're clearly a winning player, a significant winning player, and the quickest way to move up now, right? Even if you're still not like really good, you're plenty good enough for them games that we saw in the early part of the video. So just fucking put the hours in, build the bankroll, look to move up to 10 as quickly as possible without being reckless, without like increasing our risk of busting the account. And your goal should now just be like, fucking right, I'm just gonna
From the volume in.
solid grind, and just build that mental muscle. You know, if normally you play 3 sessions a day of an hour apiece, actually I'll just play 2, but I'll play 2 hours each time. So and get an extra hour in, but it's I'm not like, because quite often if I try and play 3 sessions a day, it's a third session that's shit because I can't be arsed and I have to force myself. So you'll know yourself. Do you respond? Or maybe you could just be like, right, I'm only playing 1 session a day, but I'm logging in at 6 o'clock and I'm not stopping till 10. You'll know yourself better than I don't know you very well yet. But how many hours have you typically historically played per week?
A week, try and play about 2 hours a day.
Yeah, and you could do so much more than that, can't you?
I can. I can.
Yeah, well, let's between now and next week, let's see if we could have a 20-hour week.
Okay.
Because that's not a huge. That's only a 50% increase.
No, I can do it if I have a goal to aim towards.
Yeah. Well, our goal should be move up to 10 in the next 20,000 hands. Because if we win at 10 bigs 100, which we should do in those games, or which is possible in those games, then we'll have enough money to take a shot at 10-0. So I would be like, let's just put the solid grind in, let's try and start looking at 10-0 by August. If we don't, doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. It won't be a failure. But let's be like, right, let's have the goal of putting enough volume in, work hard enough, where by the start of August we can consider moving up.
No, definitely. I think I would have some more motivating now, especially with your help.
Yeah.
It's not more motivation.
Awesome. Right. Well, I'm out of here, Chief, and I shall speak to you again next week.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Let me know your availability and I'll speak to you next week.
Will do. So there we go. That's the end of the video with Martin. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I hope you guys get something from it. And we'll see you in the next one. As always, fuck the Tories and anyone who fucking likes them. And take care, everybody. And we'll be back, who knows when, maybe next week now, because my work schedule is about to change. I'm going to have less time to make videos. Maybe we'll only be making videos with Martin. So I'll see you next week, if not before. And take care and bye-bye for now.